this is the review that I'm sure all of you are dying to see on Captain America Civil War, Marvel's newest Avenger film that has grossed, can't even guess how many billions of dollars at the box office, and has received nothing but critical acclaim, even weeks ahead of time before its international release in the United States of America, from fans and critics alike, and I couldn't agree much more with this. It is awesome. So, might as well get into detail first, shall we? Yeah, obviously, before seeing this, and obviously before seeing the first trailer, I, didn't really know much about the plot and everything. I was like, wait, Civil War? And then I saw trailers, and I was like, yeah, obviously it's Team Iron Man versus Team Captain America, and it's, the Avengers broken up, drew the line between the whole Avengers team. And really, they brought the whole team in this, and even some new characters. Well, obviously, the newer characters, as you guess, Ant-Man is in this, because if you see Ant-Man, obviously he fights the Falcon, and of course, if you've seen the after-credits scene of that movie, obviously he's brought into this team. Obviously, you got some newer characters, like if you saw in the last Avengers movie, Scarlet Witch, and, minus Quicksilver, spoiler alert there. I'm going to try to be minor on spoilers here, not, have too many major spoilers, but you may not want to watch this video if you haven't seen this movie, unless you don't care about spoilers. Otherwise, yeah, I'm probably going to have spoilers in this one as well. So obviously, yeah, Quicksilver obviously isn't in this, like I said, with, if you saw the Avengers Age of Ultron, but Scarlet Witch is in this, and that new Ultron character, whatever the hell his name was, and even a new character named Black Panther, played by Chadwick Bosworth, whatever the hell his name is. Yeah, he plays Jackie Robinson in the 42 movie. Definitely recommend that movie by all means. You probably saw my review on that in my top 10 best movies of 2013. But yeah, he plays Black Panther, and yes, he is actually getting his own movie, which I believe is due out within the next few years. So, yeah, I was interested to know more about that character. His development was a little short, and yeah, he obviously plays, a foreign character, as well as Elizabeth Olsen playing Scarlet Witch. Foreign accents are tricky with some actors. Some of them can pull them off, some of them can't. He played it pretty well. Elizabeth Olsen, her accent was okay in this movie, but occasionally I saw through it a little bit. I mean, she wasn't like A+ material, but she did a pretty decent job. Another thing also they brought in is, or another person I should say, is Spider-Man. Yes, the newer Spider-Man. Before I get too carried away, yes, unfortunately, those of you who were big Andrew Garfield fans, you probably should know that even though they hinted a sequel at the end of the second Amazing Spider-Man, sadly, it's not going on for 2 more movies. I think it's because of, I guess, the copyright disputes with Sony and Marvel, and with Disney's buyout and everything, so sadly, this series is getting, once again, rebooted. I really hope they don't reuse a lot of the same villains or anything, but this is the new Spider-Man, if you see in this movie, that's going to be in the newer reboot, and I'm guessing it's starting up a new series, and the newer film, Spider-Man Homecoming. Marissa Tomei as Aunt May, not to be rude, but she looks a little young to play that role. I mean, Sally Field and the other actress who played her in, the Sam Raimi trilogy, they seem that they're of more appropriate age, but yeah, she seems a little young to play that role. And obviously it's the same kid from the 2012 movie The Impossible, and of course last year's movie The Heart of the Sea. He did an okay job. I mean, it's what you'd expect, but... And I was a little skeptical, like anybody else was, hearing that Spider-Man was joining the Avengers, but I think it played its part pretty well. And this whole movie did pretty good as well. The only couple characters that didn't return, obviously, are Thor and the Hulk, even though there was a brief mention of the Hulk. But overall, I think the story did a pretty good job. It does seem like there's a lot of movies, like a lot of ideas that they try to cram into this movie, and it's a little talky at the beginning. I mean, the action is really good. A little bit shaky at the beginning, I will say, with the, trying to stop the bombers at the beginning overseas, but then after that, it gets really good, especially the fight scene when they draw the line. And obviously, this is about, and it does get a little over-political with the story, with the government trying to seize the Avengers, trying to be under government plan, not going out on their own to try to save the world, because they realize whenever they try to go on to their own missions, like with the first Avengers movie and the second one and all the all these events that keep taking place where they save people, but they realize it's also becoming risky because people do die as well. So I do like that it does get personal with trying to stop them and trying to take their frustration and revenge out on them because of their personal loss. So that's where the whole story comes in, and that's where obviously it draws the line and breaks up the whole Avengers team, because obviously there's a half under Iron Man's command, Tony Stark I should say, who obviously want to be government controlled, and the other half under Captain America or Steve Rogers' command, who obviously don't want to be government commanded. So yeah, they're pretty much forced to fight each other, which is a really good fight scene, by the way. I mean, it does go on pretty long, but you don't get tired of watching it, because every character, they all show off their unique abilities to one another, and when they fight each other, it's just really, it's very creative, and the humor is just very spot on. And hell, they even bring the Winter Soldier back, and a lot of the story does revolve around him as well, which is great, and they're obviously trying to bring him back to reality, and realize that he's still being, controlled by Hydra. And a lot of it does revolve around Hydra, not to spoil anything too major. And there are occasionally some losses, but you probably expect them in this film. But nothing really major. So, yeah, and yes, Stan Lee does have a cameo appearance in this film, which is really one of the funniest. I'd say probably almost as funny as the first Amazing Spider-Man movie. So, and yeah, I actually did see this in IMAX, and they even showed like a clip with the producers or makers of this film saying that we shot this with an IMAX projector, which, like I said, was really well done. And yeah, and there's a couple of surprises in the film, but not to really spoil anything too major. Yeah, it's all about revenge. It's all about, understanding and forgiveness and realization, and that's what it's really all about. And like I said, the action is really good. I definitely would see it in IMAX, but the 3D, on the other hand, it's not like in your face. I could definitely tell it's post-production, and I was kind of surprised seeing that Captain America and Winter Soldier was really well done in IMAX and in 3D. I mean, the 3D effects were great. Some of them were good, but for the most part, I just recommend seeing it in IMAX, not regular 3D. And yes, there is a post-credit scene during, the middle, and after the credits, and both of them are very well worth sitting through. Trust me, it's not, even the one after the credits, it's nothing like the first Avengers movie where it's just a pointless dialogue-less scene. Trust me, it's well worth it, and it probably will hint what's yet to come. Obviously, there's other Avenger movies yet to come. Like I said, Black Panther's getting his own movie. Obviously, there's another Thor movie, and yes, another Avenger movie, which is obviously going to be broken up into 2 parts. I'm assuming it's just for cash grab purposes, or maybe it's just too long. But otherwise, great film, great action. Every character gets their own strong point. Even Ant-Man himself, I should say. Not to spoil anything too major, but it's well worth it. Marvel has simply done it again, and it's done a masterful job. So, yep, my final verdict is a Rockin' Wii Remote Wii Motion Plus up and a Plain Remote up. I hope that's not too harsh. So, till next time, keep watching.